Today, let's review this GMT Master to Ref 126,710 with a blue and black color scheme, made by VS Factory. The color on this bezel insert is excellently done. It manages to replicate that particularly crisp blue seen on the genuine Swiss models. In the blue section, I see no obvious color deviation from the genuine version. However, there is a slight color difference on the GMT hand. The genuine version, under sunlight, shows a bluish-purple tint. But on this one, no matter how you look at it, that bluish-purple tint is not present. Returning to the blue on the bezel insert, here we can see that bluish-purple texture. And the blue is not a dull, flat color. It's very crisp and bright. The texture is executed very well. Now, let's zoom in and look at the craftsmanship of the bezel's bicolor joint. The transition is excellent. There's no issue with any white color bleed on the edges, and there's a nice gradient effect. It transitions smoothly from blue to black, and the black portion also transitions smoothly back to blue. Now for the texture of the film in the bezel numerals. There will be no issues with paint chipping or fading. Next, let's examine the details on the dial. Let's zoom in further. The shape of the solid center hand stack is correct to the genuine model. When viewed from the front, it has that mushroom cap shape, which is correct. From this angle, you can also see that the hand, no matter the lighting, doesn't show that bluish-purple tint. But the genuine version, under light, definitely has a hint of that bluish-purple feel. Regarding the bezel insert, this one's color is extremely close to genuine. It does have that bluish-purple texture, but it's not as pronouncedly purple as some Coke bezel replicas. Even the genuine version is like this. Now, for the hands. The polishing and finishing on the edges have no particularly obvious burrs or rough spots. However, the roundness of the edges is somewhat lacking. Although it's not a simple stamped sheet metal hand, the finishing on its edges is indeed a bit deficient. For example, on the second hand, the metal at its tail end is quite thick, which is consistent with the genuine model's thickness, but the genuine's edges appear more rounded. This one looks a bit sharp and angular. And on this tail section, it appears that the circular part isn't perfectly round, as if the shape was slightly inconsistent during the cutting process. The chamfering on the edges of the 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock markers is well executed. The texture of the Lume is good, like a fine snowflake powder. There are no issues. The Lume color is also correct, it's ice blue. Furthermore, its brightness is very high, as expected from Rolex. If you wear it during the day, it will glow on its own at night. When you go into a dim parking garage or sit in your car, it will be visibly glowing. The Cyclops over the date window is done correctly. The date font, whether you look at it up close or from a distance, is exceptionally clear and crisp. The printing, neatness, and other aspects of the font are all fine. The dial printing is quite bright, brighter than other factory versions. This makes it appear clearer when reading the time. Under magnification, there's a very obvious reflective effect from the ink printing. The serial number font shape is also correct. This particular model ends in Y2L6. There are no other major issues on the dial. The crystal height feels as if it's slightly recessed. It is not too high. Next is the cutout of the teeth for rotating the bezel. The angle of the cutout seems a bit smaller, making the bezel teeth appear smaller. And then there's the metal edge of the bezel insert. This border is wider, which is consistent with the genuine model. With the crown fully screwed down, a small gap is visible in the middle. From the side, this gap is more apparent. This is correct. It's designed to prevent the crown from causing friction against the case and crown guards. The two crown guards here, the lengths are correct. The length and the exposed portion of the crown after tightening are all without issue. The case shape is also correct. For this case, the lugs are not particularly wide, which is correct. Some other versions are made wider. When you compare to side by side, you'll notice the other version is wider. That's the case shape for the older 3186 movement. Now for the bracelet part. This is a 5-piece linked Jubilee bracelet, and it's extremely flexible and very comfortable to wear. The polishing and craftsmanship, let's look closer. The fineness of the lines and the polishing contrast are all very well done. On the clasp, the opening for the small cornet has that olive shape. The chamfering on the edges and the fineness of the linear brushing are also excellent. These are the engravings inside the clasp. The caseback tooling is also a segmented design. When the caseback is tightened, it sits nearly flush with the case. These details are correct. The movement used is the Dandong 3285 clone. It's the same movement used by C Factory. This time it's like an exchange. C Factory gave the Dandong 3285 movement to VS to use, and VS gave its Dandong 3235 movement to C Factory. Because previously, each factory had a monopoly on one of them. This Dandong 3285 is better than the Shanghai 3285, and the Dandong 3235 is also better than the Shanghai 3235. Overall, the replication level is excellent and can absolutely pass in normal social settings. The details also stand up to scrutiny. The only flaw in the ointment, I feel, is the polishing on the hands. If it were a bit more refined, it would be truly excellent. As for the GMT hand color issue, that can be overlooked. Because even with a genuine watch, the color in photos or videos versus what you see in person can have discrepancies. Even with the same genuine watch. That's why, when we look at photos and videos online, there will always be color differences from the physical object. As long as the color difference isn't an obvious instant tell issue. For instance, if someone made this Greenwich blue-black bezel with a strong purple hue, or made it a very dark navy blue, or a light sky blue, that would be an obvious tell. A subtle difference like this, where you need to compare it very carefully side by side with a genuine piece to find a tiny variation, is a very minimal color deviation. This is a very well executed color replication. In summary, this piece is very well made and worth purchasing. Its value proposition is also high, though it is slightly more expensive than C Factory's version. Compared to C Factory, I believe the polishing on the hands is inferior to C Factory's. As for the second hand, it's better than C Factory's in some ways but also has its own shortcomings. In all other aspects, I feel this watch is even closer to genuine than the C Factory version.